Hi, it's Mitch here with the Puck Dogs. It is December 31st. It is the last day of the year, the last day of the decade. A lot of stuff I'm throwing out with this decade. Really just cleaning house. I'm going to start over again. Starting the decade or closing out the decade. I'm banned on Facebook Messenger right now. This is what happens. People will spam our Facebook group. I'll ban them from the group, and then I always send them a little message, and usually is not, gee, I'm sorry I had to throw you out of our group, but you violated one of our rules. Usually it's not even close to that. I guess somebody reported me and said that I used profanity and violated the terms of service over the messenger service. So they played the victim on me. You spammed my group. And you're the victim. That's basically the way it works. Rod,
Thanks.
how many books are we going to make the victim in this upcoming year? How bad is the book going to be crying the victim?
Lots. 2020 going to be a great start to a new decade.
How about you, Chris?
Oh, I'm planning on beating all of them up.
Any New Year's resolutions? 2 years ago, I think it was, or 3 years ago, I was the kinder, gentler Mitch, and I think I've held on to that one pretty good as I can. I certainly always have room for improvement, but I think that I'm the best. I've been the best that I could do up until this point. Like I said, I'm always trying to improve, but I think each year I've gotten a little bit better at it, a little more tolerant, and I could laugh at some of the stuff that used to get me mad. How about you guys? Chris, anything?
Just
get your articles up a little faster. What do you think? How about you, Rod? Produce some YouTube videos. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be the big New Year. Big year. But the New Year's resolution for me, I'm going to try to quit smoking. I got to quit smoking.
I didn't know this about you. So you learn something new every show. But I'm a former Marlboro Red smoker. I used to smoke 2 packs a day for many, many years. I'm about, at this point, I think 12 or 13 years I've quit smoking. So
right.
I'm stubborn as hell. So, it doesn't surprise anybody that I was able to do it. And I smoked since I was 13 years old. So I smoked for a very long time. And I was able to quit. And the way that I quit was cold turkey. The hardest way.
The hardest way.
I had, it wasn't like after this pack or after this cigarette or anything like that. It was straight cold turkey. I had cartons of cigarettes left in my cabinet. And I gave them away much later. Like, I held on to them for a while. And I gave them away after, because it was like, just in case. I had tried everything. I had tried Chantix. I had quit before. For about 6 months at one point. But, man, I had tried everything for a very long time to quit smoking, and I was able to do it. And I have to say, man, since doing that, I felt a lot better. It's a lot harder for me to take off weight than it used to be when I used to smoke, and also I'm older. But definitely that's a good one, and any encouragement that we could give you, more than happy to help you out on that one. But, for me, it's going to be, I have a way of, when I talk to people, I kind of put myself down, and I do it like kind of to try and make other people feel comfortable, and I do it kind of usually in a humorous way. And Chris and Rod probably know this, and all you guys probably know this. But what happens to me in business, which at the end of the day, all this website stuff that you guys don't see, it is a business, and I have conference calls scheduled for today. I have calls with lawyers. I have all kinds of things, that are business, that have nothing to do with doing videos. And if you lost sound, that's on your end. But it has nothing to do with, doing videos, picking games, or anything like that. It's just business. And I think what happens in business, and what happened with my other business partners when I tried to do the merger, is I put myself down and I acted like I didn't know anything. Like I was this person that didn't know anything. Yeah, I started with $10 and I live in Maui, and have, these mega $1 million businesses. Yeah, I don't know anything, right? It's like, it doesn't even make any sense. But, people, they interpret that literally because they don't know any better, and I don't give them anything to work with. And I think what happens is I act like I don't know, I act like I don't know, I act like I don't know, and then when it's something meaningful to me, I say a lot of statements where I clearly know and I clearly understand. And I start talking about quantifiable data and breaking out charts and graphs and numbers and all kinds of things like that. And people are just floored. They don't know what to do. And basically what they'll generally do is climb into a hole. And, when you don't have communication, you can never get anything done. So this year, I'm just not going to put myself down anymore. And if I understand something and I know something, I'm going to make it crystal clear that I know exactly what I'm talking about. And when there are parts of it that I don't know, I'll say, can you explain that part to me? As opposed to saying, oh, that's not really what I do. I just pick games. That's all I do. So, because people, they really, really misinterpret it. And then when I come back on them, they don't know what to do. They have no idea what to do. And Chris has been with me for a long time, so he knows there's very much a lot of moving parts, here. And it's like I'm not an expert on most of them, including picking the games, but I do understand them, and I have a basic concept. They're the technical pieces. Like, I don't know how to code, I'm not a coder, but I understand how websites work and how the internet works. I very much understand it.
I think for me, my New Year's resolution is to sort of keep my health on track, sort of make sure that I'm keeping up with everything, try to get into that 2-piece for the beach. But other than that, just keep my health up.
That's an easy one, man. To me, that's easy.
Yeah.
Because it's like once you start to see starting the diet and getting healthy, it's always about the first couple of days, Like a weekend is like that first weekend is always the hardest because if you start on Monday, by Saturday, you're just freaking starving because dieting and losing weight, from the time that I was on the wrestling team in high school to now, even though it's a little tougher now because I'm older and it's like I don't exercise like I did when I was on the wrestling team, but it's the same basic concept. You burn more calories than you eat, and you could eat a lot less calories than you burn, or you could eat a couple hundred a day less than what you burn, and you're going to get the same result. It's just going to take a little longer. So I'm with you on that one. I'll back you. Believe me, I'm Oprah, man. It's like you guys can look at my YouTube videos over the last 12 years and you can see, man, I expand and contract, like Oprah. Exactly. Right now I'm kind of in the middle. But sometimes I get so skinny, it's like everything's just hanging off me, It's like I've lost too much weight,
I'll trade you.
Yeah, well, it happens, man. It's
like, you need some extra? Don't worry,
when I show my house all the time, right? When I show my house with the camera, one thing that no one ever comments on is that I have my Nordic track right there. You see it?
Oh, yeah.
See it? It's a Nordic track. I have it right there. That is the hardest of all cardio equipment. I call it the torture machine. Because you're not aided by anything. It's not like an elliptical where it's like one foot goes and the other one kind of follows along. This one is all on your own. And cross-country skiing is the biggest workout because it's the only workout that you get upper and lower body at the same time. So you burn calories twice as fast on the Nordic track. So I suggest if you want to start working out, that's what you want to do because you could start with 20 minutes and I do an hour on it or more, but I just throw it in front of the TV. I watch the games and usually I'll do a live show halftime and then I'll come back and I'll do Nordic track, and that's why I need that break. I can't come live every hour because I have other stuff to do. Well, let's get going, man. We got some games to go over. I put all of our information here at the bottom because people, they don't seem to understand. And those of you that messaged me, like I said, I'm banned on Facebook Messenger. I think it's one day or something. I said the F word. All right, I did. I'm guilty. And I also use this. One word starts with C, and the second part of the word starts with S. I used that one. I used the second word is sucker. The first word rhymes with rock. We'll figure it out. Anyways, Chris, speaking of sucker rocks, let's get to some NHL action today. We got a pretty good card here. We got 5 college football games. We got 7 NBA games. We got good college basketball games today, and we got a crap ton of NHL. We're gonna have to rip through them pretty quickly. Capitals, Islanders, Chris.
Yeah, I like the Islanders at plus 150. It's just a value play here. The road teams won each of the last 5 head-to-head. I want to try. 2 great teams. I want to try my luck with the team giving me 1.5 times my money.
Yeah, this one seems like it should be minus $1.25, and it's minus 171. Rod.
For me, the Islanders haven't been playing so good on the road lately. They've lost a couple in a row, 2, 3 in a row. Give me Washington here. I think Washington comes out and plays here last game of the decade. Give me Washington on the puck line. I think they win by a couple.
I got them 4-1 in their last 5 on the road. So
is that what it is?
Yeah, 4-1 in their last 5.
Yeah, they've been hot on the road. So we got another early start game here in beautiful New Jersey, just by the probably by the resort and spa there. Got the Devils hosting the Bruins. The Bruins kind of putting it back together here. They've actually hit a pretty soft spot in the schedule, I think, personally. A softer spot. And, that's going to lead to some wins. And they're minus 180 here on the road with, looks like backup goalie, right? So, is this an opportunity where the Devils close out the year with a win? Sometimes around these holidays, we saw it on Christmas, right? We see it now. Teams, they get a little disinterested,
For me, Boston's 4-0 last 4 in Jersey. They're 22-5 last 27 against Jersey. I think Boston comes out here and beats them up. Give me Boston minus 2.5 here today.
Chris loves the Bruins. He's a closet Bruins fan. What do you got to say?
Yeah, it's like all the trends Rod said, Boston's own New Jersey. They've won the last 3 meetings by a combined score 13-2. The thing about Boston is their backup is as good or better as some NHL teams' number 1, so you can't catch a break with Boston in the crease. I'll take Boston minus 1.5 plus 135 and minus 2.5 plus 240.
I'm on the Devils in this one. Big. Maple Leafs up against the Wild. Anderson in net for the Leafs. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to side with the over here. You could make a case for either side, but, as talented as Toronto is, they're prone to giving up 3 or 4 goals. Minnesota can light the lamp at home, but they're also prone to giving up a few. Both teams had defensive issues. I'll take the over 6.5.
How about you, Rod?
Yeah, I like the over, like Chris says. But I'm going to side here with the Leafs. Give me the Leafs. Last game of the decade here. Give me the Leafs on the puck line. I think they can beat Minnesota by a couple.
And Vegas up against the Ducks. 3 o'clock Eastern time start. So this is noon out west.
Yeah, I like Vegas minus 1.5 here. The Ducks are just struggling, and Anaheim did just beat Vegas a couple nights ago. But I think this is a good revenge spot with Fleury starting in net for Vegas. I like Vegas on the puck line here.
Give me Vegas minus 2.5. I think they beat them by 3 goals, maybe even 4.
I'm going to go with Florida State over Georgia Tech in the noon college basketball matchup. I just think Florida State, we've seen ups and downs of this team. 7-0 at home straight up, 3-4 against the number. And Georgia Tech 4-0 against the number on the road. They're not that good. Trust me on this one. We've seen them play inspired in spots. But this Florida State team, Florida State to me has been the last, 10 years. This really athletic team that just never seems to play up to the potential. But I think the game at Florida really showed me something about Florida State this year. I know they lost at Indiana, but they early lost at Pitt. But at home, New Year's Eve, they got to get out of there in a hurry because their football team plays at 2 o'clock. So this is kind of like, you got to move fast. So I expect them to be running the court and putting them away early. I'm going to take the Noles in this one. I also like Central Florida against Temple with the 2 o'clock start in this one. The line has gone from +1 to +2.5, but Temple has been pretty inconsistent. I know they're 2-0 straight up on the road, but that doesn't include the neutral site games where they lost to Miami. Central Florida is a good team, and I know that not quite as good as they were last year, at least not at this point. But I'm going to take Central Florida +2.5 in this one. I'm going to move over to the early college football game, and Kentucky against Virginia Tech. I like the under in this game. Bud Foster defense. You have a team that runs the ball in Kentucky. You have a team that stuffs the run in Virginia Tech. And, this game is going to be played, a lot of this game is going to be played between the 20s. I'm pretty sure of this one. I like under in VT Kentucky. Chris, any thoughts on VT Kentucky?
Yeah, I was originally going to go with Kentucky on the money line, but then I was thinking about it. You're right. Virginia Tech does a good job stuffing the run, and Kentucky's sort of become one-dimensional since Lynn Bowden Jr. took over at quarterback. I like the under as well. I think that the run game chews up a lot of clock here.
Rod, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I like what you said there. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Give me Virginia Tech here.
How about Buffalo against the Lightning? The Lightning is 175 on the road. I don't know, man. Are the Lightning the pick to win the cup at this point by the odds makers? I just don't even understand these Lightning spreads. I know Buffalo is just 17-16, but they're lights out at home. They are just crushers at home, and it's like, we look at some of their recent play, 4-5-1, but look at who they played. I mean, I take them all the time on the show, and they never come through for me, but it's like Vegas, Boston. It's not, I mean, put them in against the Red Wings and, some of these other teams, and maybe they have a different story. Red Wings or the Kings, or the Ducks or something, but they don't get to play those teams. It seems that there's a lot of teams in the NHL right now with winning records, and it seems that they play Buffalo every single night. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo is a very good home team. The problem is they're still struggling a lot lately, and the prices on Tampa are still steep. But they're 22-6 in the last 28 against a division rival, Buffalo. 8-2 in the last 10 meetings in Buffalo. And if Andrei Vasilevsky goes here, he's 10-1-1 in his career with 165 goals against Buffalo. I like Tampa Bay on the puck line at +155.
Look at Buffalo's schedule, right? Their last 6, 7. Look at their last 7 games, okay? Look at their last 9 games, okay? Yeah, let's look at their last 10. Let's just go right through them. And you tell me what's wrong here with this picture. Okay, at Edmonton, they win 3-2 in overtime. That was at the beginning of the month. They get back home. They beat the Blues 5-2. If it was a fight, they would have stopped it. Buffalo, then they beat Cashville the next time out. Then they travel to New York. They take on the Islanders, who you guys love. They lose 3-2 in overtime. They go to Toronto, who's caught fire. It's like too bad they don't catch him, a few weeks earlier. And they lose 5-3 there. They go to Philadelphia, who you guys are enamored with. They lose there 6-1, their worst effort, overall. Then they get back home. They get the Kings, and they beat them 3-2. They go on the road to Ottawa. They lose 3-1. They get back home. They play the Bruins, who you guys, Chris is, basically a Bruin at this fan. Chris is like, we need a new locker room boy. Chris is like running, it's like me. Loves the Bruins, and they lose at home to the Bruins 3-0, and then they go to Boston on a home and home, and they lose 3-2 in a hard fought battle in a game that, they were done early, right? And then all of a sudden they come back and they play hard to the very end. So yeah. They haven't played well recently against the really good. Look at who they played, They've played the best of the best. When they didn't play the best of the best, they won. And I'll tell you what, they even played some of the best of the best. Like when of the 3 home games that they've had 4 home games. They're 3-1 in those home games, including the win over St. Louis, including a win over Nashville, and the 1 loss is to Boston. I don't know. You guys tell me. I know. I've done nothing to talk you off of them, but if they were in a sport where they were getting points, this would be my team, right? I mean, I love the Red Wings and the Sabres. I think this is where all the value is in the NHL. Just me.
I can't put my money on Buffalo.
I understand, but they're not playing it. They're not playing Boston, Philly, Toronto. They're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, who live in an environment where it's 80 degrees, man. These other guys are going to get off the bus, and I don't care where you've been. You've become accustomed to the warm climate. You're going to get off the bus in Buffalo, and what's going to happen? You're gonna go over there, and your tongue's going to stick to the roof of your mouth. It's like it's going to freeze there.
70% of the guys on Tampa are from Russia, so they know all about frozen tongues to posts and.
Yeah, and they've been sitting out by the pool. Those guys are the ones that sit out by the pool the most.
Yeah, they've been defrosting.
I don't know.
I take Buffalo. Give me Tampa on the
Buffalo. No. There's nothing I can do to talk you guys off of them. I understand, but I'm just saying, plus 155 at home. This is a team that's won 3 of their last 4 at home against pretty good competition. The one loss is Boston, who, let's face it, Chris thinks Boston is playing Boston in the Stanley Cup final.
Tampa's one of those teams you gotta tread lightly and pick your spots when you. Okay, I'll take them here. I think today is one of those spots.
They could have one team with Raska's goalie and the other one with Halleck's goalie. They could play each other in the finals.
Next time Boston plays,
look at him. He's like, he's on to something.
See my thing with Tampa Bay. Yes, they're only, if you combine their record, 20 and 17 this year. But this is still pretty much the core of a team that won the President's Trophy last year. They're in a bit of a hangover phase after being swept in the first round.
But are you sure it's a hangover phase? Are you sure they're not? They don't look like they're giving 100% every game. They don't want to touch that President's Cup. That's the way I look at it. They don't mind losing a couple.
Yeah, I guess hangover phase was the wrong word, but it's just they're not as driven to maybe get the best record in the league. They know what they have.
Nobody wants the best record in the league in hockey because that President's Cup, you win the President's Cup as the best in the NHL in the regular season, you lose in the playoffs. For some reason,
we got Montreal versus Carolina. We got a lot of ground to cover here. Meanwhile, if you bet Tampa Bay every game this season at these giant prices, you're minus 470. That's all I'm saying. So you're minus 470 on Tampa this year. You're minus 446 on Buffalo, which explains my hockey record so far this season because I've taken them a ton. But the thing is that at home on Buffalo, you're plus 344, and on the road on Tampa, you're minus 131. It's at home where you've gotten pantsed, on the Lightning, minus 339. It's a good way to lose a lot of money as a team. I don't see the Lightning as good as everybody else does. And I know it's because I don't know hockey, right? Because I don't follow it up and down. So they're not the Capitals. They're not the teams that we've seen in the finals the last years. And I understand they had the best record last year, but, that doesn't mean anything. The Chiefs had the best record in the AFC last year. They didn't make it to the Super Bowl. The Chargers were 12-4 last year. There are certain teams that have the killer instinct and certain teams that don't, and we know this. And there's certain players and certain guys that are real leaders out there, like the Capitals have, right? It's like, we might go down, but we're going to leave every ounce of blood in our body on that ice if it's up to me. It's like that's what goes on in the Capitals locker room, right? It's like, we know that. It's like, and that's why we like them. That's why we can withstand the hits on them. And that's why they're plus 878 on the money this season. Because they care. But anyways, Montreal against Carolina. Chris, Le Hurricanes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Carolina in regulation. They've owned this one head to head, winning 7 of the last 8, each of the last 5 in Carolina. And Montreal doesn't usually fare well after they have a high scoring game. 1-10 in their last 11 after scoring 5 or more. 0-7 in their last 7 after allowing 5 or more. Carolina's also been strong at home dating back to last season. I like them in regulation here. I like the Hurricanes.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm looking at this money still, and of all those teams that we talk about that have the winning records, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 11 NHL teams are plus money this year, statistically. I mean, that's how rough sledding it is out there on some of these lines. Rod, what do you think here?
yeah, I'm with Chris. Montreal's 0-5, last 5 in Carolina. They just don't fare well in there. Maybe they like Carolina food instead or something. I don't know. But they just definitely don't fare so well. Give me the Canes. I like them in regulation, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the puck line here. -1.5.
Tampa Bay, ninth from the bottom in overall money this year. Toronto, sixth from the bottom. Vegas, fourth from the bottom in money this year. At the top of the list is the Islanders, Caps, Blues, Rangers, Avs, Jets, Pens, Flyers, Vancouver, Dallas, Carolina. But I have to say that the money is thin at the top, going up. But these other teams like Toronto, -600, on the season, and they have a winning record, right? So it's like, man, it's just telling you that this is a tough way to make a living. This is a very tough way to make a living. All right, move on to the next game. Columbus and Florida. This is a generic hockey game. I wonder what the TV ratings will be for this thing. Columbus -109 in this thing. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, this would have been an easier case to make for Columbus if their starting goalie, Jonas Corposalo, didn't get hurt in the last game. I'm going to go Florida here. I just don't trust Columbus's backup, and even if they bring somebody up, I don't like them either. I don't like this game, but if I had to pick, I like Florida to get a rare win in Columbus.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely not top bet on the board today for me. It's not. I don't even think I'm going to even see this on my TV. So, but I like Florida here. Give me Florida. Florida's offense is way better than Columbus. They're scoring lots of goals right now. Give me Florida here.
All right, Rod's picture was frozen, but we could still hear him, right? So, but now you're unfrozen. So we got the Red Wings against the Sharks. This looks to me like a chance where maybe the Red Wings can, give back a little bit of that -1600 they're sitting on. Really, I mean, it's not even close to how much money you've lost on the Red Wings compared to everybody else. Well, I mean, not us, but I mean in general. If you bet 100, if you want to lose 16 more times than you win, you put $100 on the Red Wings every game, and that's where you're at right now. So they're only. But the whole thing is that you have to remember they're 9-28, but they're only -1600. So it just tells you that when they have won, there's been some great value there. Go ahead, Rod.
Yeah, for me, yes, the Sharks won the last game. They beat Philadelphia, looked good doing it. I still don't trust them. Give me Detroit here. I think Detroit gets their 10th win.
Chris?
Yeah, me too. I'm on Detroit +150. Both teams are basically 2-8 in their last 10 games. There's no way I'm laying -169 on the road with that. I'll take a shot on Detroit at home. Maybe they want to end the decade on a high note.
I like Miami against Clemson in college hoops. The Canes are way underrated, man. I think some of these teams, when we start to see how they are as the season goes on, some of those losses don't look nearly as bad as they normally do. I don't know. Joseph Cohen, I guess, never watches our show because we do the show at 10 a.m. Eastern time every single day, 11 a.m. on the weekends every single day. We've been doing it that way for a long time now. But I like Miami against Clemson. We got inverse line movement going in this one as well. Miami's losses: Temple, Florida. Florida, UConn, and Louisville are the 3 losses. I mean, no shame in any of that. Clemson 6-6 on the season. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games. The only win that they have in that bunch, they beat Jacksonville. Congratulations. I'll take Miami. I'll take my 2 points. I don't think I need it. Move on. We got Missouri State taking on the Evansville Purple Aces. Of course, Evansville beat Kentucky this season, and that's their big claim to fame. But 9-4 actually, and 3-1 on the road. Missouri State laying 7.5 in this one. We've seen the Bears of Missouri State, do some pretty good things over the years, and we know that they're the type of team when they start throwing up those threes and they start going in, there's nothing you can do about it. But I think 7.5 against this Evansville team is just a little too stiff of a price for me. I'm going to take Evansville and the 7.5. They have the win over Kentucky, but they're also 3-1 straight up and against the number on the road this season, and 9-4 on the season. I'm going to go with Evansville. They don't usually play a bad schedule, so that's something that I'm looking at. The other one I like here is Drake against Bradley. I did a video on this game, and you guys can hear more detail about it, but these teams are pretty even. I mean, these teams are, you look at the numbers, these teams are even. And it's like they were getting 4.5. 21% of the public on Drake here, the line is down 2 points. That means somebody saw the exact same thing that I saw in that video and dumped on it. I'm taking Drake. Let's get back to the ice here. Got Colorado up against Winnipeg, Rod. What do you think here? The Avs minus 209.
Yeah, the Avs have been playing good hockey, but so have the Jets. I'm going to take a shot here with the Jets. The Jets are, 0-6, the last 6 in Colorado. They haven't fared well in Colorado at all, but not with this line. I'm not laying 209 with Colorado. We're chasing a puck line and probably what's going to be a 1-goal game. Give me the Jets on the money line. Sneak out a win here.
How about you, Chris?
I do see it being a 2-goal game. That's why I'm on Colorado on the puck line. Jets, it's like Rod said, Jets have lost 6 straight in Colorado in the last 4 against the Avs, and the last 4 were decided by a combined 17-4. So I'll take my shot with Colorado on the puck line here.
Got the Kings up against the Flyers, and there looks to be some value here on the Kings, who have been playing a lot better at home recently and a lot better overall. 5-3-1 in the last 10. 10-7-1 at home this season. The Flyers just 9-10 on the road. 8-12 on the puck line. 6-4 in their last 10. It's basically a pick on the Flyers' slight favorite here. Rod, can you get off the Flyers for a second, or are you sticking?
I'm sticking with the Flyers. I really like this Flyers team. They can score. They have defense. Give me the Flyers here.
Chris, who do you like here? The Flyers, the Kings, or the Bruins? What do you think?
Bruins.
We can put together a C team with the Hershey Bears.
Oh man, I'm never gonna let that go. I'm gonna go Philadelphia minus 120. It's like Rod said, the Flyers just have a great offense. Like I keep saying, LA's a better home team. Well, that's true. It's just the Flyers are playing better hockey right now.
Let's go back to college football. We only covered one of those games so far. So, Florida State against Arizona State. I like the under in this one again. I mean, I just think that Florida State missing Cam, is not playing here. Akers, he's a stud of studs, and the thing is, he's been on a lousy team for a while now. So no one. This is one of those guys that your team is going to end up with him in the NFL draft, and you're going to be so excited when he gets there. Like, he's one of those guys that he's going to be on the waiver wire in the fantasy, right? It's like, gotta get Cam Akers, and it's like, this guy's so good. He's so good. He's not playing in this game. It's like he wants to prepare for the NFL draft, but I think it's almost a crime that he's not playing. Arizona State, Herm Edwards is always defense first. The Sun Devils have been in some defensive wars this season. They beat Michigan State, and of course they got the win over Oregon as well. Meanwhile, Florida State fired coach, no offense, no defense. 54-point total. I like the under in Florida State. Arizona State. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm on Arizona State as well. It's like you said, Cam Akers led the team in rushing and touchdowns. They're also missing Stanford Samuels, who's a big part of that secondary as well. So I just see it being a hard time for Florida State moving the ball. I think Arizona State wins by touchdown.
I mean, I can't stress enough how good of a back that Cam Akers is, and I'm a Miami fan, so it's like he's our rival, you know.
Yeah.
I can't even stress to you how good of a back this guy is. If you think like if he played on a respectable team, you would be hearing a lot more about this guy. Like it's kind of like how I felt about Edgerrin James when he was at Miami. He never got a lot of ink at Miami, but I always knew he was an exceptional running back, and this guy is kind of in that same class. Cam Akers.
Yeah, I'm on Arizona State.
How about you, Rod?
Yeah, I'm on Arizona State too. I'm not putting my money on Florida State.
How about Wyoming against Georgia State? I like Wyoming in this one. I just think they've played the better schedule and they've done better against some of the better teams. I thought the win against Missouri, even though it was a long time ago, is still holds up for me as a good one. It's been a really, really great year for Georgia State. We can't take anything away from this team. They had 2 wins last year. They're in a bowl game this year. They beat Tennessee on the road straight up. And, you can't take anything away from that. Oddly enough, someone in our Facebook group created one of those really big posts, which I can't stand. And it says, take Wyoming on the money line. It's like they're minus 280 on the money line. It's like save us the space, save yourself the finger wear and tear, and don't even admit that you bet that. But anyways, I like Wyoming. I'm willing to lay the 7 points. I'm not gonna lay 280 on it. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I better play. I have a rule. I never lay a line that's the same as my weight. So I'm going with the under 49 here. Both teams have quarterback issues. I'm pretty sure Sean Chambers is dealing with something for Wyoming. Georgia State's quarterback was dealing with some knee issues. I just think this is going to be a very run-heavy game. I like the under here.
And for me, I took Georgia State plus 7.5.
Yeah, I got the line at 7, so I'm taking Wyoming. Keep moving right along. Go back to NHL. Just a few games left on the card that we didn't cover, but it's all day action today, so plenty to go on. We got Calgary Flames minus 185 against the Blackhawks, who are 5-5 in their last 10 games. Flames have been pretty tough at home, straight up, not great on the puck line. The Blackhawks pretty good on the puck line on the road. So, tell me, Rod, minus 185, is that in your wheelhouse?
No. I think this is going to be a battle. But Blackhawks are 0-5 last 5 in Calgary. They just have no luck in Calgary. But I think they're going to battle today. I see this as a 1-goal game, but I think Calgary squeaks out, giving Calgary in regulation.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot at Chicago plus 165. I just don't think that Calgary's worth this price, playing the same 500 hockey as Chicago, and Chicago comes in winning 4 of their last 5 games. And Calgary's lost each of their last 4 at home. I'll take a shot with Chicago here at plus 165.
How about the Islanders and the Oilers?
Rangers
and the Oilers, and it looks like is Lundqvist hurt? Is that why he's not playing? What's going on?
I think Georgiev's just played better, to be honest with you. Believe it or not. My jersey came yesterday. No, I'm going to take the Rangers here at plus 122. I'm not laying this kind of juice with an Edmonton team that's lost 8 of their last 10 games. New York's played decent on the road. They just beat Toronto on the road, so I think there's value with the Rangers here.
So, like on your Bruins jerseys in your 30-day Rice-A-Roni rotation, is it who do we start with? Do you have like the current Bruins like Rask, and then you move on to like Chara, and then you have like maybe a Terry O'Reilly and a Cam Neely jersey in there, and then maybe a Rick Middleton, and I mean, what kind of rotation are we doing here? Because do we have a Bobby Hull vintage, in the or Bobby Orr vintage in the mix there?
I got the game used Bobby Orr jersey when he did the dive in midair. I got it framed right here.
It's like the postman shows up with a giant box. Chris, your 30-day supply of Bruins jerseys are here.
It's like one of those fan boxes that's become a big thing lately, where it's just a bunch of like Boston merch.
What do you think here, Rod? Rangers.
Give me the Oilers. I think the Oilers are going to come out on New Year's Eve here and get a win. It'll be a close game, and I really like the under here. I don't think we're going to have a shootout here. I think McDavid pops a winner. He comes out and carries the team on his back and gets the Oilers a win.
How about this one? Arizona minus 105. It went from plus 105 to minus 105. Ranta in the net, who Rod really doesn't like, up against his boy Binnington for the Blues. And you're getting the Blues at just minus 115 to close out the decade here. This looks funny to me. I mean, I don't know anything about hockey, and you know, I know a little bit more than I knew 2 months ago about hockey, or a month and a half ago, right? Month and a half, 2 months ago. I know more now than I did then, but you know, I know enough to know that this line looks funny. What do you think, Rod?
This line does look funny, eh? Why are the Blues only favored by so little? Because the Coyotes, if their overall record's not bad, they're good on the road. They're not so good at home. And with Rat in that, now give me the. I look at that line and I'm not going to overthink it. Give me the Blues on the puck line here. We can get the puck line at over 2 times your money. And the Blues have what, 8 in a row? Yeah, give me the Blues. I can't take Coyotes here.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm with Rod. I can't. The line does look very funny. It looks very fishy, but even with like the funny line, I can't go with Arizona with Ranton. And he's lost his last 3 starts, giving up combined 10 goals. I think St. Louis wins a close one here. I'll go St. Louis money line minus 115.
I like the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight against the Mavericks. I've been going against the Mavericks pretty hard recently, and I've been having a lot of success with it. They're just 5-5 in their last 10 games. Of course, some of those Luka was there, some of them he wasn't there, but they're still 5-5 anyway you slice it. The Thunder are the hot team right now. 11-8 straight up at home, 10-7 against the number, but 7-3 in their last 10 games. This is a team that went from sub 500 to now 17-15, and they're on the move and in the playoff hunt. I'll tell you what, you know, this is a team that's never really shied away from paying people and going out and getting people, even though they've lost, you know, 3 of the best players of the last decade: Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. Kind of like the old Montreal Expos. Imagine if they could hold the band together for a couple of years or something. But you know, I don't know. I think the public is just so heavy and so enamored with the Mavericks these days that it's easy to go against them, and I think that's where all the value is. It's like when ESPN is all over the Mavericks and when the public is all over the Mavericks, it's a great time to not be on the Mavericks. And you know, we see it all the time. It was like, you know, just it's the same way we see Alabama treated in college football almost. You know, even though you know, Alabama's obviously got some titles. You know, they win a lot of their games. It just seems to be that the value is rarely there, you know, after a certain point. It's like maybe early in the season they'll cover a bunch of first halves and they'll cover a bunch of spreads, but as you get late into conference play, they're always way overvalued, right? And, you know, people forget they lost to Clemson by 30-something points last year. The Thunder are playing really well. I mean, I can't go against them at home. I just can't.
The Thunder are playing way better this year than anybody predicted. I really thought they were going to fall apart, but
it's really their last couple weeks. They poured it on.
Yeah,
they've been able to win on the road, which is something that we haven't seen from them.
From them at all.
You know, earlier in the season they couldn't win on the road at all, and then all of a sudden, you know, they start winning on the road, and a lot of it has to do with scheduling, but some of it has to do that they've just been playing better.
Yeah.
And another game that I don't have a premium on that I'm looking at as well is I think that this Rockets-Nuggets game over 220.5. I think that's another one. I think the Rockets are so inconsistent, it's impossible to go with them or against them. It's like lately, it's like when you expect them to play bad, they play well. When you expect them to play well, like on Christmas, they play poorly. Meanwhile, the Nuggets, they've turned a corner. That game that they won in LA, even though LeBron James wasn't playing in that, I think that was a real feather in their cap game. What we'd seen from the Thunder is that they had won a lot of games in the winnable games, and then it went in the step-up games where they've had trouble, especially on the road. But that win over the Lakers, something has turned on, and look now, the Nuggets are 9-1 in their last 10 games. I don't trust the Rockets enough to to think that they're not going to show up here against the Nuggets, because when you don't expect them to show up is exactly when they do it, and when you expect them to show up and to have an easy time of it, like against the Warriors, is when they don't show up. So I'm just going to go with the over here at 220.5, and when we look at the Rockets, the totals have come down drastically, and that's why they're 7-3 in the last 10 games, and 22-11 on the season. It's because they do play more defense than people think. But I like the over here, 220.5. Anyways, let's do the recap. And first of all, before we recap, Chris, do you have any other picks that we didn't mention on the show today?
Where do you want me to go? College hoops, NBA,
whatever you got that you didn't mention, throw out like how I throw out a game. Take over as the host here and throw out a game, and I'll give my opinion too. And Rob,
all right, I like.
You're crazy.
I'm too young and shitty. I like Indiana money line against the Sixers. I don't think that Philadelphia's the team I'm trying to back on the road. I also like over 209.5 in the Charlotte Hornets and Boston Celtics game.
I'm with you on probably on both of those. I'm a little less enthusiastic about that total.
Yeah. I like the 76ers.
Yeah.
I'm bad, but whatever. Give me the 76ers here on the road.
It's the 76ers on the road against teams with winning records is a bad bet.
Yeah. They're not pulling an 0-4, so it can't be horrible.
Well, against teams with winning records, they pretty much are. They have one win recently, and that's about it.
Well, then they better get two.
Anything else, Chris?
I like Boston College and the boatload of points against Duke. I just think it's too many.
Duke just hasn't covered the big numbers this year. They just they haven't been covering the big numbers, even against worse teams than Boston College. Boston College has won, I think, 4 in a row, but before that they lost like 4 in a row. Right? It's like a little streaky.
I'll cover other stuff in the recap, but yeah.
No, go ahead. Keep going, man. We got a couple minutes here. Let's do it.
I like Navy minus 2.5 in Kansas State in the bowl game. I like Utah minus 7 against Texas.
What Texas team shows up here? I mean, is it the Texas team that we saw? Like we've seen 2 Texases this year, but in the step-up games against the really good teams, they haven't really stepped up. Tom Herman, I think, has been disappointing. I think Nebraska and Texas have both been disappointing, and I think that Tom Herman's been serious. I think that people will say he's got a lot on his plate and he's got a big job to do and all that other stuff. But when you see Baylor kind of rip through the conference, including ripping through Texas, right? You kind of say this can if they can turn around a program that was dead in the water at Baylor, why can't you turn around Texas to a 10-win team? Fine. A Texas 10-win team means they lost to Oklahoma and they lost to LSU. I mean, there's no shame in that, Then we're talking about Texas in yesterday's show. Why aren't they playing Florida in the orange, right? But that's not the Texas team that we've seen. They're not even close. And in Texas, if there's one state where you should be able to get a quarterback, it's Texas. I mean, half the teams in the country have a Texas quarterback. The other half, the other ones are split between. It's California. Everyone has a California, Florida, or Texas quarterback on the roster.
Oh, yeah, because they play there's lots of high school Texas football going.
Oh, it's huge. Florida, Texas, huge. And California are the 3 major high schools in the United States for college football. Because they can because of the spring practice, because they can practice all year.
All year. Yeah.
So that's generally, like if you look at NFL rosters, I think half the players are from the state of Florida.
Is Huntley and Moss playing for Utah?
I believe so. Utah always has players that are older. So.
Then give me Utah. That Texas D is like Swiss cheese. No thanks. Utah's
Kyle
gonna.
Whittingham's team generally don't have players that sit for the bowl games. They have a few defensive guys that are out, but that's just what I'm seeing. But Utah looks like everybody's playing.
Oh yeah, then I'm on Utah here. I like Utah.
Anything else, Chris?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Rod, anything that we missed on the show that you wanted to go over?
Well, for me, I've been watching this juniors hockey. Canada needs this win today. Give me Canada -2.5. I think they can win by 3 goals, and give me Finland -2.5. I think they win by 3 goals here. It's weird in this junior hockey. That's you look at you're chasing the -2.5. Most of the time, that's a straight line. But I like those in international hockey. And I think the big game in college basketball is Butler at St. John's, and I'm going to go with the home team here with the points. Give me St. John's. Butler's been good all year, but so is St. John's quietly. I think this is going to be a closer game than the 5.5 I got last night. And then I looked at this Warriors game in the NBA. Man, did that line ever go? It was like not +9 last night, and then +10. It's up to like +11 now. Give me the Warriors +11.
Yeah, the Spurs are playing great, and the Warriors have certainly picked it up a bunch too. And imagine if this game was 5 years ago or something. What a great matchup it would be. It's awesome that they close out the decade with these two teams. It's like they kind of did represent the decade. I think I tried to go over it in the video a little bit. For in each sport. Kind of defining the decade there. And I think, we saw the Spurs, a big part of it early. Then we had the Miami Heat team with Dwayne Wade and LeBron. And then, the Warriors. And, the thing is about that, all of these great teams, they all took losses in the finals, They all took them. It wasn't just, the Spurs lost to the Heat. The Heat lost to the Mavericks, in the finals. The Warriors lost to the Cavaliers, and the Warriors also lost to Toronto. And it's like, so the NBA, I think, really got it right. I think if there's one sport that really got it right, they made all the right rule changes, made the game better, and it's like they really got it right. Like not like the NFL, who's just trying to figure out how can we squeeze in more commercials. How can we get more commercials into a 3-hour span? You know what? We're not going to. Let's just move it back another half hour. Let's just move it back. It's like we've run out of ways to cut corners. It's like the clock's always running all the time. It's like, they've done everything they can do to shorten the actual football and increase the commercial time. And the amazing thing about, both college and NFL football is that, we're at a day and age where we watch where there's a replay official. The rules are replayed, and they still can't get the calls right. They still can't get it right. It's like it's an amazing thing that, and not only can they not get them right, it's even when they do get them right. We're 3 guys, and a community of how many thousands and thousands. I get 100,000 or 1 million views a month on YouTube now, right? It's like, out of 1 million people, right? Out of our million people, right? It's like, how many people can understand half these rules? What's going on in the NFL? It's like, so like the hit on Trevor Lawrence. It's like it's not targeting. It is targeting. It's not. It is. It's like, I think that there needs to be, and we talked about this the other day. I think there needs to be a blatant and a non-blatant, kind of like roughing the punter, where they went to a 5-yard and a 15-yard. It used to always just be 15. Now there's a 5 and a 15. They did that a while ago, a running into and a roughing. I think it's the same thing with that, with pass interference in the NFL, where it's like a 60-yard penalty for incidental contact is ridiculous. When there's hand fighting on both sides, it's ridiculous. 15. And then if it's like a blatant tackle or something, then then it's a spot foul. If it's like a tackle, of the guy, it would have to be clearly defined, like wrapping up,
They do that in the CFL for pass interference. If it's a log one and it's blatant and he tackles them, okay, then they get that spot of the foul. But if it's just that hand buffering, then it's only a 15. There is no spot foul on every pass interference call.
Yeah, there's so many rules out there that I don't understand. It's like, I haven't, for someone that's watched as many football games as I have in my lifetime, and even just this year, it's like, when I first saw the tuck rule, I didn't know what that was. Who the hell knew what that was, right? All of a sudden, it's not really a fumble. It's this tuck rule thing. It's like, who knows? Anyway, speaking of tuck rule, Chris, take us out. Who do you recap them for us?
Sure. I like, let's start on the ice. I like Boston -1.5 at +135 and -2.5 at +240 against New Jersey. I like the Islanders +150 against Washington. Vegas -1.5 at +120 against Anaheim. Over 6.5 in the Leafs and Wild game. Tampa Bay -1.5 +155 against Buffalo. Carolina in regulation -110 against Montreal. Florida -109 against Columbus. Detroit +150 against San Jose. Colorado -1.5 +130 against Winnipeg. Philadelphia -120 against Los Angeles. Chicago +165 against Calgary. The Rangers +122 against Edmonton. And St. Louis -115 against Arizona. I have a 14 puck line parlay, all -1.5. Boston, Vegas, Tampa Bay, Colorado at +29.39. And I have an underdog parlay, all money line, Islanders, Blackhawks, Rangers at +13.70. For college hoops, I like Miami +2 and money line against Clemson. Boston College +23 against Duke. Drake +2.5 against Bradley. For the NBA, I like Indiana money line against the Sixers. Over 2.5 in Charlotte and Boston. And for the college football, I like under 47 in Kentucky, Virginia Tech. Arizona State -4 against Florida State. Navy -2.5 against Kansas State. Under 47 in Wyoming, Georgia State. And Utah -7 against Texas.
Do you like the Celtics in that game? Also, with the points or just the total? Any lean here to the Celtics at least? You know what I'm getting at here, because we could have a 3-team Boston parlay, because you got the Bruins and you got Boston College. All you're missing here are the Celtics today.
Okay, fine. Give me the Celtics. I'll do the parlay.
Triple Boston.
Rod, what do you got for us?
Also, the NHL would go. I like Washington on the puck line here. I think they're gonna stop the Islanders today. I love Boston to beat up New Jersey today. New Jersey's not going to enter the new year happy. Vegas, same thing. The Ducks are not going to enter happy. I like Vegas -2.5. I like the Leafs to come out fighting. Give me the Leafs on the puck line. I like Carolina to win in regulation. I think I see that as a battle game. Tampa at Buffalo. Give me the puck line with Tampa. Probably the boringest game on the board. Give me Florida over Columbus. Give me Detroit to beat up the Sharks today. I'm going to take a shot with the Jets to get off that over their last few in Colorado. I love the Blues today. Even though the line looks weird, give me the Blues on the puck line -1.5. I like Calgary in a tight game. I love the Flyers over the Kings today. Give me the Flyers on the puck line. Give me the Oilers just to squeak out a win against the Rangers. For me there, I got a birdcage puck line. Give me Boston on the puck line, Flyers on the puck line, Blues on the puck line, +23.57. I love Utah. Give me Utah in the college football. Give me Virginia Tech. And I'm going to go Kansas U. Give me the +3 points against Navy. NBA, I like the Celtics. I like the Clippers. I like the Warriors plus the points. And I like the 76ers -2 today. College basketball, I like Evansville plus 7.5. I like Georgetown. I think that line flopped. They were +1. I got them at +1 last night. I think it's -1 now. I like St. John's. Give me the points there as well. I think that's be a closer game. And then the couple international hockey. I like Canada -2.5, and I like Finland -2.5.
Finland -2.5.
Yeah, Finland. Finland -2.5 +110. They're playing Switzerland. I see that as 4-1, 5-1.
Is that you got everything? You got a birdcage or anything?
Okay. Yeah, my birdcage was Boston on the puck line, Flyers on the puck line, Blues on the puck line, plus 23.7.
All right, I took I don't know who the hell this is that I took. Anyways, I took the Florida State in college hoops, Central Florida in college hoops. I took the under in Virginia Tech, Kentucky. It's weird you put VT and start thinking Vermont, but it's Virginia Tech. Took Miami against Clemson. I took Evansville as well. Drake as well with these guys. Florida State, Arizona State under. I took Wyoming -7. The Oklahoma City Thunder. And those were my picks today. Of course, I got tons of videos over on YouTube, and you guys can watch those. I'm doing more YouTube videos than I've ever done before, and more YouTube videos than anybody out there when it comes to free picks. We're going to make, my goal is always to take it to everybody else that's out there doing what we're doing and make them work harder, to deliver for you guys. But I still don't think they can do what we do or nearly as good as we do. They're just, there's only one, right? Anyways, thanks, Puck Dogs. Everyone have a really safe and happy New Year. Don't it's just another night. No reason to get all carried away and hungover and all that kind of good stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow at our normal time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And I know there's only one hockey game tomorrow, but you guys are welcome to come on board with me. We got 4 college football, a few NBA. Just talk about the New Year or something. I don't know. Talk about how crazy your neighbors were, whatever. It's here in Hawaii. It's all about poke is what they do, and the big news story is always the prices at the ahi auction. It's a very big lead-in news story here. So prices are about the same that they were last year for those of you that are interested. But anyways, have a great New Year's night, everyone. I'll be back at Utah. How about this? I'll come back at halftime of Utah, Texas, and we'll talk some football. This is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you guys later.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.